Hello everyone and welcome to A Fictional Escapist. Today's video is going to be a review of When the Moon Shines by Lucia Ashta, a book which I got through NetGalley in the month of January. When the Moon Shines is book 1 in the 6 Shooter and a Shifter series. It is a Western fantasy romance. Genres which should not well together, yet they do. So, through this book, we're following a 23-year-old sheriff by the name of Loretta May Bell, who is basically trying to restore peace and, or keep the peace, I should say, and basically oversee all the residents in the Trader's Den. The Trader's Den is a pocket realm which was created by her uncle to punish her dad for reasons that I can't go into because spoiler territory. Every so often this portal opens and new people come into the town. They're currently at close to 400 residents over the years that she's been there, so 23 years, she's been there since birth, and the portal opens. So a bell rings alerting them to this portal being opened, and two very hot, rugged men with all the muscles, because it is a romance, pop through, and in more ways than one, because like the muscles are there. They're hot, okay? In the book they're hot. I don't know if they're hot in real life, but you get it. Everyone wants them. Moving on. So these two lads, Rhett and Zeke, pop through. They're fighting over a sacred object, and Loretta's like, well, what are you doing? And they bring with them arrogance and a flair for the dramatic. So it's basically this whole town is now turned on their head because of these two very well-muscled, oily newcomers. Moving on. The portal opens for a second time and Loretta has fallen victim to dragon magic, which is now wreaking havoc across the town. And it's up to these two men. So Rhett and Zeke need to work with Loretta to save her life and save the town from whatever is going to happen. So that was the book. What did I think? On a pure enjoyment level, this book was a lot of fun, if unbelievable even for a fantasy. The Western tropes here are played up to the extremes. People come through the portal and they're automatically given a horse and a cowboy hat, a new name, and an inability to swear, which comes out in some hootin' tootin' phrases, which it's just fun. They really take the mickey out of these Western tropes, which is something that I enjoy. I don't know if other people will be quite so happy, particularly if you like to read Westerns and you like some of those tropes. We also get a couple of interesting animal companions, so if you do like an animal companion, we get an adorable koala by the name of Kiki, who gives legendary cuddles, and that is quite... there's more of Kiki in the story than I would have thought, and we also have a tiger shifter who is stuck in a tiger's body, and a bear shifter with a slight addiction to honey, which is a little bit on the nose, but also, again, it was amusing. It was a trope that was sort of, or not even a trope, it's just something that was played up. You have a Winnie the Pooh-like character who's very dangerous. So, if you ever wanted to see Demon Winnie the Pooh, now is your chance. The magic system is super loose, so it basically gives the author creative liberties to put in anything that she wants. People have all different types of abilities. They're not super well explained. They're creatures from all walks of life, from all walks of fantasy. It's almost like a Fae dynamic where, each different person has a different ability and you don't really need to explain it, you just sort of know that it's there. For people who like a very controlled magic system with a lot of rules and, a lot of consequences, this may frustrate you. I personally like a loose magic system because you can play with it a lot, and I think it establishes itself as being just chaos, which is fine if you like that sort of thing. But if you are someone who likes sort of like I just read Mistborn, that sort of magic system where the rules are quite constrictive for the magic, then you may have frustrations with this particular novel. There are a lot of experiments that happen because of the looseness of this magic system. Like, you've got those shifters, you've got vampire characters, you've got a fairy who won't shut up, and it's sort of everywhere from all walks of fantastical life. I will say the prose was quite repetitive in parts, which was frustrating to me as someone who doesn't like repetition, and there were over-explanations within the book that didn't need to be there because they were already explained earlier in the book. The major plot point or a major plot point only comes up at like 40% of the way through. And I won't tell you what that is because of spoilers, but at 40% of the way through, I feel like as a reader we should be fairly established in that plot. And for me to get that particular piece of information nearly at halfway through, it was like, oh, if I had known that, that would have changed my perception of this particular character from the get-go. So I'm not sure why we're just mentioning it now. Also the fact that we have a 23-year-old sheriff in a town of, you know, questionable magic magic users. The other thing that frustrated me with this book was that we're talking about relationships, even though it's a fantasy romance. I don't read romances very often. In fact, I've only started reading fantasy romances this year because of NetGalley arcs. I'm like, maybe they're not that bad. But there is a relationship which was established sort of a decade ago, and these relationships that have been there for so long, and decisions about them are made very, very quickly without a whole lot of thought, at least not that's documented in the book. And that irks me a little bit, because it's like, if you've had a decade with someone, why do the things that you're doing, at the drop of a hat? But I don't know, maybe romance readers can let me know if that's a common theme that happens in those books. I don't know. So while there are certain issues in the execution that I have with this book, it was a fun time. I gave it a 3 out of 5, because I did enjoy certain aspects of it while I didn't like others. It sort of sat slightly above average for me, and I will likely pick up book number 2 if I can. It's got me enough to pick up book number 2, which is, I guess, good on you, Miss Ashta. Now, Lucia Ashta has a whole bunch of books out there. I will link her website down below. She's delved into a lot of YA and sort of these, I guess, tropey fantasy romances a lot. I did not realise how extensive the books that she's written are, but yeah, I mean, I'll pick up the second one. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of it, click that subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.